So as the year winds down, we have to discuss the best games of the year. It's just a requirement. And today, I'd like to center things around a pretty specific category. Nintendo Switch games, not just Nintendo Switch games though, particularly the games that are the best handheld experiences. With the Switch offering both on the TV as well as on-the-go options, certain games are going to shine brighter in handheld mode than others. So today, as we get into this whole Game of the Year type discussion, I want to focus on those, the handheld standouts. Something like Diablo III, for instance. This was a franchise I've said from the beginning would be phenomenal to have on a portable, and when the game finally came out, it did not disappoint. The gameplay and various play modes are perfect for pick up and play. I'm still kind of shocked at how well they got this point-and-click PC game ported onto not just the Switch, but all consoles, and as something you can easily sink hundreds, even thousands of hours into, you may actually regret having this one always at the ready when you realize just how many hours you've actually dumped into it. And don't forget, the next time you can expect to be able to play a Diablo experience while on the go will be when the highly anticipated Diablo Immortal drops soon on mobile devices. So if you're planning to hold off and play that game when it comes out, I hope you have a phone.
You can play on your tablet too.
One of the best Switch games of the year, whether you played it portably or not, was Octopath Traveler. This was a near perfect throwback to the old school SNES days, a simpler time before loot boxes, before microtransactions, before Fortnite stole everyone's dance moves. It was a better time. This game is beautiful. It's a world you just want to get lost in, and aesthetically it feels kind of right, more intimate playing it on a handheld. And this is another one that can be a little bit grindy. I think that was probably the biggest knock against it when it came out, was that you did have to grind a little bit to get your party strong enough to progress through the game. But again, if you're a fan of those old school RPGs, the early Final Fantasies, the Chrono Trigger, this one was a must play. And if we're going to talk about portable games, love it or hate it, we must at least address Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. This series has long dominated the handheld gaming market, and while yes, I'm not going to say this is like the best Pokemon game or anything like that, but it's not the worst one either. At least I don't think so. And even if you do hate all the mechanics they brought in from the mobile games, you have to still admit this is a step up from Pokemon Go, because at least in this game you don't have to actually physically get up and go outside and walk around. Two things I like to avoid when I'm playing video games. And even though the big draw for this game was being able to play Pokemon in HD on your big TV, I still think playing it portably is the best way. You can avoid all the motion stuff if you don't want to deal with it, and aiming with the gyro controls while you're in handheld mode is definitely the best way to have nice consistent throws. Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate is a title that's in a similar boat as the Pokemon Let's Go games. This series has long been a staple of handheld gaming, largely being regulated to the 3DS in recent years. However, 2018 marked the series' debut on the PS4 and the Xbox One with the launch of Monster Hunter World, and sure, that will probably go down as the main release in the series this year, but at the same time, many clamored for that traditional, should I say it? Sure, why not? Less casual gameplay that you'll find in the older Monster Hunter games. And if that was you, well, the release of Generations Ultimate was just the game for you. Also, similar to Pokemon, I understand why this game may have been a bit disappointing for some. Yes, we all want a full-fledged Monster Hunter experience built from the ground up for the Nintendo Switch, and while this title was a port of a 3DS game, I think it still does a fine job of scratching that itch and hopefully has exposed an even broader audience to this franchise. And again, since we're specifically looking at games in handheld mode, how about The World Ends With You Final Remix? This game on its own is great. The problem with the Nintendo Switch version, though, is that it's nearly unplayable while you have the system docked. The controls straight up suck when playing it on the TV. I'd go as far to say that docked, this is one of the worst games released on the Switch this year, but portably, it works well, pretty much a straight port of the iOS version of the game. And the game itself is a cult classic for a reason, and people, one way or another, should play it. I still wouldn't run out and pay full price for it or anything, though. And before I get into which Nintendo Switch release this year was my favorite to play in handheld mode, let's spotlight some of the indie releases. There have been a ton of phenomenal ones, and the portable play option is typically a big reason why so many of these indie titles do so well on the Switch, sometimes even better than other systems with much bigger install bases. Obviously, Celeste has to go right up there at the tippy top. It was awesome to see that game get so many nods at the Game Awards this year. Moonlighter, which I'm really glad I was able to slip in there while I've been getting caught up with mostly AAA games towards the end of the year. Hollow Knight, if you're not familiar with Hollow Knight, I don't know what the hell are you doing here. Dead Cells. I would normally say I find Diablo 3's gameplay to be the most addicting out of all the games I've mentioned, but damn, everything about Dead Cells just seems designed to keep you playing. If you've played it yourself, I guarantee you found yourself saying something like, okay, just one more run, more than once. Being able to beat the game within like an hour, but only getting one life is the perfect balance of stressing out over dying, but not feeling like you've wasted a bunch of time if you do so. Just so good. Yeah, there were tons of great titles that stood out in portable mode, handheld mode this year, but if I can only have one, if I have to determine one title is the best Nintendo Switch handheld game of 2018, well, Okami originally released all the way back in 2006. Since then, it's gotten the HD upgrade treatment and has been re-released on just about every platform there is. The PS3, the PS4, Xbox One, PC, and with good reason. This truly is a classic game, and to think, it came out over a decade ago, and there's still just not much else like it. Even just looking at it at face value, this hand-drawn watercolor sort of art style still blows me away today because it's still so unique. Watching the flowers blossom during cutscenes or behind you while you sprint is still just as delightful in this age of 4K Ultra HD graphics as it was back then. Now, if you're familiar, the game plays as sort of a third-person action title with a bit of Zelda mixed in, as you'll acquire new skills that will allow you to access new areas as you progress. But to execute those skills, you have to paint. Each one has a fairly simple shape or pattern you need to draw, and this is where the game really shines on the Switch, specifically in handheld mode. Because in handheld mode, you can use your finger on the Switch's touchpad screen for the most intuitive painting controls this game has ever seen, while still being able to control all your other actions with, the standard sticks and buttons. This really takes the game as an experience to the next level in combat particularly, as like I said, this is still an action game. You need to make well-timed attacks, dodges, all that fun stuff, while also mixing in the painting to maximize your damage output. Never on any system has it felt as good to go between these actions as it does on the Switch, and for that reason, I believe this all-time classic that has been on tons of platforms is best on the Switch. The Nintendo Switch version, specifically when it's in handheld mode, is far and away the very best version of Okami HD. Everyone should find a way to play it, honestly, on whatever system you can. But yeah, if you get it on Switch, know that you're definitely getting the best version, and I feel this was the best game to play in handheld mode on Switch in 2018. For me, there's really only one problem with this title. If you're a physical game collector like me, this game did not get a physical release outside Japan. But the Japanese version of this game is in English, and since the Switch is a region-free system, you can import a copy and play it with no issue, which is exactly what I did. And when I did, I didn't just get one copy, I got two. So who's the other copy for? Well, one of you guys. Yes, we're going to try this whole giveaway thing out for the first time on this channel. It's going to be, and let me stress this, please listen, this giveaway is only going to be for people in the United States. I'm giving away a physical copy of Okami HD on Nintendo Switch. All you have to do to enter is make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and tell me in the comments, what was your favorite game to play on the Nintendo Switch this year in handheld mode, and why? And I'm going to pick someone who answers that question out of the comments at random. Because with that, this video's a wrap. Like I said, you have tons of options. There were plenty of great games to play in handheld mode on the Switch this year. And for me, if you forced me, if I had to pick one, I gotta go with Okami HD. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this discussion of which games were the best to play in handheld mode on Nintendo Switch in 2018. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. And with this giveaway going on, I mean, how could you not? And if you want to keep the conversation going, hit me up on Twitter at Johnny Zakari and join my Discord, ChiGuy and Friends. Link to both in the description below. And as always, thanks for watching.